If you want to get the most out of your rowing workouts and not get injured, you have to avoid the top 10 biggest mistakes that are made when using the rowing machine. Hey, I'm Austin with Just Row, and I'm on a mission to help you feel confident and get results with your rowing machine, no matter what rower you have. And after coaching thousands of individuals on their rowing form, here are my top 10 biggest rowing mistakes in order. Starting with number 10, which is pulling the handle either too high or too low. When you row, you want to make sure that the handle is being pulled in right below your chest, or if you've got a sports bra on, right below the bra strap. If we pull any higher than this, sure, you might be able to get a little bit more extra length, but you're going to overuse your shoulders, your traps, and your neck, which frankly aren't efficient rowing muscles. And these muscles are going to tire out way before your legs would, which is what we want to avoid. And if you pull in too low, like to the stomach, you would think, oh, in a straight line, that's a good thing, but we miss out on precious inches of length. You see, rowing is a tall person sport. It's the third tallest sport in the world. So you have to row your height. And if you're missing out on a few inches, it makes a huge difference in your performance, going from here to here. So make sure you don't pull too high or too low. Pull right below the chest or right below the bra strap. And number 9 for top 10 rowing mistakes is either not leaning back enough or leaning back too far. If we don't lean back enough and we end in this vertical position, we're not getting the full action out of our hip swing, which is one of the biggest components for the power that you can create each stroke. And if you lean back too far, this can put a lot of strain on your lower back and can increase your risk of injury in your lower back. Not only that, but once you start rowing at high stroke rates, it becomes really hard to sustain leaning back as far as possible. The fix is to lean back at a 1 o'clock body angle. You want your shoulders just slightly behind your hips with your abs engaged and still keeping tall in your upper chest. So remember, not vertical and not all the way back. Think of that 1 o'clock position. And for number 8, we have gripping with the thumbs on top of the handle. Now this isn't the end of the world, but when your thumbs are on top of the handle, you're gonna be using your arms and forearms more, and you're more likely to break your arms early, which means that they're bending while you're using your legs. And if you're getting more arm and forearm out of each stroke, these muscles are gonna fatigue and burn a lot earlier than when your legs would. And if we're rowing properly, our legs should be getting tired first. The simple fix is to remember to keep your thumbs underneath the handle. You want to think about holding the handle with a hook grip, with the handle resting at the base of your fingers while keeping your fingertips and the overall grip light. This allows you to hang from the handle with straight arms so that you can effectively use your legs, hips, and back. So take those thumbs from here to here, and remember the hook grip. At number 7, we have not lifting your hands high enough. This might sound like something you've never even thought of before, but when it comes to the tension that we get out of our rowing machines, it all comes down to the angle of the handle, the chain, and where it feeds in to our rowers. Every rowing machine is going to be a little different, but in general, you need to keep your hands slightly higher than you think. Notice when I'm rowing here that if I keep my hands low, that you can see the chain snapping up into position every stroke at that slight diagonal upwards. It's because here on the Concept 2, the tension is grabbed at a slight angle out of the machine. So to avoid this mistake when you're rowing, just think about keeping your hands lifted a little higher than you think. You don't want to go too high, because if you go too high, it's going to snap down. But it's always going to find that slightly angled upwards diagonal line of pull. And if you're not sure if you've got the right handle height for you and your rower, you can sign up for a form review on my website, linked down below. And coming in at number 6, we have compressing the legs too much. Part of getting good length in our rowing stroke is making sure that we bend our legs a lot. But if we bend our legs too much, it can round our lower back underneath us and put strain on your lower back muscles. And if we bend our legs all the way to the point where the seat hits our heels, not only is our lower back tucking under us, but we've essentially stretched our quads too much to be able to have an explosive drive back. They're just too stretched to be able to drive back with power and speed. The fix for this is remembering that maximum leg compression is knees over the ankles, or shins vertical at the front. By the way, this means your heels can lift. And if you look at professional rowing athletes use rowing machines, their heels lift all the time. And that's because when we drive, we're pushing through the middle of the foot, not through the heels. But don't increase your risk of lower back injury or lose power in your quads from over compressing. And remember, shins vertical or knees over ankles. Oh boy, we're in the top 5 now, and coming in at number 5, we have what we call knee bounce. And it's this concept of driving, swinging, pulling, but not holding the legs down at the finish. The knees kind of bounce up and down as we take strokes. You simply lose efficiency every stroke that you don't hold at the finish position. And it makes your strokes shorter as well. The fix here is to think quads flexed at the finish. And by quads flexed, we mean legs flat. When you flex your quads and push your knees down, this is what keeps your strokes long, sequenced properly, and efficient. If you think you're a knee bouncer, another thing you can try is a pause at the finish position each stroke. So instead of continuously rowing, pause for a second and then row. Take the stroke like a rep you would do if you were weight training, and then release. And that's gonna help you remember to flex your quads and not knee bounce. And at number 4, we have not leaning forward enough. We talked about the problem of not leaning back enough and trying to think of this concept of a 1 o'clock body angle at the back end. But one of the biggest problems people have is not getting a complementary 11 o'clock lean forward. And at best, most people end in a maybe slightly forward from vertical position. But this is simply not as effective as this. So the fix here is to think body from 1 to 11, to 1 to 11, or just thinking shoulders in front of hips at the front. A drill to really help emphasize this is to add in some pausing at the arms and torso position and then bending your legs. So you establish the arms, torso, pause, then bend the legs. And this really helps to reinforce what it should feel like with a forward leaning body position every stroke. All right, we are now officially in the top 3 biggest rowing mistakes. And at number 3, we have not properly adjusting the foot plates. You might not have realized it, but it actually does matter how high or low your feet are when you row. And when we row, we want to try to keep our feet as low as comfortably possible on our rower. The reasoning behind this is that the lower our feet sit, the lower it brings our legs and our knees, which makes it more comfortable to lean forward each stroke. I think the best way to demonstrate this is to show the opposite. If I strapped in my feet as high on the foot plates as possible, you can see here that the knees get lifted a lot higher up in front of you, making it way harder to safely lean forward at the front. This is not comfortable at all. But by simply bringing your foot plates as low as comfortably possible, you make that front end position feel so much more confident. Okay, for number 2, for the top rowing mistakes, is not sitting correctly. This might sound crazy, but it actually matters how you sit your butt on the seat. And if you're just sitting down, you're messing up. Because subconsciously, we always will sit on the nice meaty part of our butt cheeks. And if we sit the middle of our butt on the seat and we try to lean forward at the front of the stroke, this is what rounds our lower back and can create a lower back strain. The fix here is to try to sit on your junk, which basically is a vulgar way to say tilt your hips forward, try to sit your hamstrings on the seat more so than the middle of your butt, and this untucks our pelvis, untucks our lower back, and makes that front end position feel more confident without straining the lower back, while still allowing you to get a strong and stable layback position. So every time you sit down to row, take that moment to sit on your junk and untuck your pelvis, untuck your lower back, and sit more of your hamstrings on the middle of the seat. And with that, the number 1 rowing mistake that's made is leaning back early when we take the stroke. Personally, for me, as someone who's been rowing for over a decade now, this is still something that I'm working on. Even the most competent of athletes can still fall into the trap of leaning the body back early, what we call opening up early as we push the legs. But when we row and row properly, our torso forward position should stay forward as the legs push, and only after the legs should we lean back and pull. So instead of kind of blending it with lean and push, which is the biggest mistake, we want to try to think legs, then swing. Holding forward as you drive your legs before you swing back and pull. A good drill to practice this is with the legs only drill, where you get yourself into a catch position here at the front end and only push your legs. Shoulders and body stay forward. Every inch the seat moves, the handle moves, and you work on feeling what a leg drive with a forward position feels like. And I've seen hundreds of people try this drill, and while they're doing it, they're still leaning back early. So film yourself doing that drill to see if you're actually leaning back early. That's how common this mistake is. But once you can master the push, then the swing and pull, your rowing efficiency is going to skyrocket. If you enjoyed today's video, I run the most affordable and effective follow-along workout app on the planet called Just Row. You can check it out down below if you want to row along with me and have me coach you along through dozens of programs, hundreds of follow-along workouts, and more workouts every single month. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down below, and be sure to subscribe for more rowing content from me. And with that, I will see you in the next video.